You're new to the One Ring RPG, second edition from V-League Publishing. You visit your local friendly game store and you find and pull off the shelf the starter set. You start reading the back and you get excited. A 24-page volume of the rules, a 52-page volume describing the Shire, a 31-page volume containing the adventures, 8 double-sided pre-generated character sheets, 2 large maps showing the Shire and Eriador, 30 war gear cards that can also be used with the One Ring core rules, 6 double-sided journey roll and combat stance cards, and dice. The dragon sickness waves over you as you say to yourself, all this, and for how much? Sold. You can't wait to break it open and run this for your friends. You get home, you open the box, and there it is, all in its free league production glory. The maps, the war gear cards, stance cards, math rocks, rules book, a compendium of the history and the lore of the Shire, Bilbo Baggins with Sting. Then you pick up the adventure booklet. Out of all the great material in the starter set, consensus within the One Ring community is that the adventures are the weakest part of it, which is unfortunate, as I rather like the adventures and what they tried to do, bring a lighthearted feel and a comfort of home to the table, much like the Shire itself. Intended as a walkthrough to learn the unique rules of the One Ring, all the while lighthearted lollygagging through the Shire, for some, it falls short of fully bringing forth the great rules and game that is the One Ring, and may sour some newcomers to the game, foregoing buying the core book and running the complete game in and of itself. Which is a complete shame, as that wasn't the intent of the lead designers, nor the lead writer for the Starter Set Adventures and the Shire Compendium, who, as some may know, least of which themselves, poured considerable amount of heart and soul into the work. The adventures are a series of 5 individual adventures that let you as the lore master guide your players through the relative peace and quiet of the Shire, all the while helping you and the players understand the rules of the One Ring and highlight the narrative tone and feel for the game. Unlike the rest of the material found for the One Ring, these adventures leave very little to the lore master to work with, and can, as some have found, feel very railroady and very linear. There is also a few moments also where, especially if you're new to tabletop role-playing games and running a game in general, you feel you're left at a roadblock with nothing to guide you to the next situation or scene. As an experienced game dungeon master for other systems, but also new to the One Ring before, I found it somewhat difficult to wrap my head around the rules and also run the starter set and the Shire Adventures. What helped me immensely was watching a couple of actual plays, mainly those from Glass Cannon Network, and as well as the adventures and lollygagging play of the One Ring, just to get a feel and a tone for the game as compared to, say, actual plays of Dungeons & Dragons or other game systems. As for the adventures themselves, here's a few things that I have found helpful that as lore master can build on the adventures and pull more out from the starter set for your table. It goes without saying, familiarizing yourself with the shortened rules of the One Ring provided in the starter set rules companion. Take note of the first part of the action resolution, when to roll. Ask yourself before you ask the players for a roll, is it dangerous? Is there something new, unknown knowledge that is hidden or secret? Are you trying to manipulate a lore master character that goes beyond their normal motives? If the answer is yes to any of these, then they roll. Otherwise, you just consider the action a success. Familiarize yourself with each adventure and how each will flow into the other. There's some option to move some of the adventures around, but stick with the suggested flow or as it's printed in the book. One less thing to worry about. Think about how you'll play each scene beforehand in ways the players may get through a skill test or encounter. Think of the options made available by the adventure itself, and also a few that may be brought up by the players themselves. Also note, failure doesn't necessarily mean they didn't complete a task, make the jump, or whatnot. They could succeed with woe, meaning they succeed, but there's some negative consequence fitting the scenario. Familiarize yourself with the Shire Compendium booklet, the history and the locations, and take note of where the adventures will eventually lead to. Many of the locations will have some extra tables associated with them, and this can really add some more flavor and roleplay to opportunities that your players can experience. It also really brings to light some of the real good Middle-earth lore-specific information to the Shire that is fun and memorable. Familiarizing yourself with the pre-generated characters and their history, make some notes and compare with the information found in the Shire Compendium and how you can bring that out during the adventure to build more of the narrative. Take specific note to the skills and abilities of each of the characters. When you're running the adventure, you can then suggest the actions by a certain player character if the players are stuck in what to do next. Also, assume if they have the ranks or marks in a skill or proficiency, assume that they have the items and tools necessary to complete that task. It does not have to be listed on the character sheet like you'd see in other games. Take some of the information from the Shire Compendium and add to the adventures to flesh it out a little more. One, it will bring more of the complete adventure and will make it feel less railroady if you incorporate some of this information in some of these tables. It'll also bring to life the places and people of the Shire. Remember, it's unlikely that you'll adventure through the Shire in a regular game so in-depthly, so you might as well enjoy all the Shire has to offer right now. Make a list of names of the people the players may encounter on the road, a passing farmstead, or on the road in Bywater, or even at the Green Dragon Inn. Goes without saying how much this helps you as the lore master. Remember to jot down a quick note of which name you use and where, just in case the players meet up with them again in a future adventure, even if it's outside the Shire. Familiarize yourself with the combat rules and any of the lore master non-player characters that the players may face in combat, normally called adversaries. For the starter set adventures, and considering the setting and the context, combat is limited and not well fleshed out as it is in the core rulebook, and it doesn't really bring to light the full experience. No character should die during a starter set of combat. At the worst would be one to become unconscious. Adversaries are either outright defeated, or they flee from the player heroes when the time is deemed right for such an event. Also note that not every encounter with an adversary is to be fought with sticks and stones. There's other actions that players can take to thwart the plans of the adversary, like talking with the enemy, and other actions highlighted on page 24 of the Starter Rules booklet. Lastly, embrace the look, feel, and theme of the Shire, much like we see in the beginning chapters of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, as well as the Peter Jackson movies. Remind yourself and the players that the Shire is intended to be light-hearted, and the adventures relaxing and fun. They'll welcome the change of scenery from other games played, and for what's to come once they venture past the peaceful borders of the Shire.
What news of the outside world? Tell me everything.
Everything? Far too eager and curious for a hobbit. Most unnatural.
Well, what can I tell you? Life in the wide world goes on much as it has this past age, full of its own comings and goings. Scarcely aware of the existence of hobbits, for which I am very thankful.
I hope you have found this helpful, and if you're new to the One Ring, please check out my growing series of how-to videos which I call Riddles in the Dark. Also check out my Choose Your Own Adventure style play of the Starter Set Adventures. It may help you get used to the rules a little bit, as well as have a little bit of fun, before you run any of your games. Also, if you're wanting to sit back and enjoy some narrative of the adventure, check out my take on the actual Strider Mode solo play adventure here. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe for more content and support for the channel. Thank you, and happy adventuring.